Sound test. Test. Can anybody hear me?
On there and there. Test 1, 2. David, can you hear me? Yes. Hello? You can hear me in there, can't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, my little icon up here came on as well, so I'll turn them both off.
Can you hear me, Casey?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Then I'm going to mute me.
Hey, Casey.
Cindy.
Hey, Casey, on the link on the website where you go to sign in,
Yes.
when I click on that, it says request edit access, so it won't let me sign in.
Okay, let me change my share setting.
Thanks.
Looks like you made it from home this time. Unmute yourself. You're muted.
Now, how about
There
now?
you go.
That's what I was worried about. I was wondering whether I'd be able to get it or not.
You did good. I'm proud of you.
I am able to at this point.
I'm still at work. It's just easier to stay here. I'm here this late every day anyway.
Or you even get a chance to get home now? Is it just?
I get there by about 6:30, 6:45 usually.
Okay.
And I don't sleep much, but that's okay.
No, especially now, not too much sleep.
Now. So, Dave was asking me earlier today, and I didn't have a chance to double check it, but I'm pretty sure that the paperwork for running for the board in November is due in June. Have you got anything in an email
I
for
just
that?
went this afternoon and picked up, and I think she told me June 2nd. Is that correct?
I was thinking June 1st. Todd thought June 15th. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's June because it used to be August.
I thought she told me June the 2nd. So my biggest issue is trying to find transcripts from Knox Central. I don't know if they have transcripts that old.
Well, I tell you what I had to do before when I did mine and they had this transcript thing. There's an online data thing that they all high schools do, but I don't remember what it's called. And you can go online and do that, and you have to pay them like $10 or something, and then they email you an official transcript.
Oh, okay. Okay. So
Yeah. Let me see if I can find that. My husband says, you have 49,000 emails in your Yahoo. And I'm like, they don't care. Why should you? I save everything.
exactly.
Kim, Mark put in the chat that it's called Parchment.
That's it.
Oh, okay. Okay. And they should have, because all schools have to, I guess.
Yep, there it is. Parchment right there. See, I told you I don't throw anything away.
Well, I'll have to get that then.
So the email you send to, I'll text it to you, is parchment@parchment.com. So I'll text you that so you'll have it.
All right, perfect. That way I can get that taken care of. Yeah.
If you need one, Todd, you can do the same thing. I sent that to both of you. It's on your text.
All right, perfect.
Thank
Yes,
you.
I've got it. Thank you. Okay, super.
You realize that I'm using the mouse for my computer when I was trying to do something on this computer.
Too many electronic pieces, yes.
Way too many. That's a nice picture in your office, Todd.
Thank you. Yours looks good as well.
my bookshelf full of books. I tried to move all the paper away so you couldn't see what my office really looks like. Dave has seen it. It's not very big and it's really full.
I'm sure there's been some humorous stories about people's backgrounds in these virtual meetings.
Well, you know, there's a whole new feng shui to what your office is supposed to look like in these Zoom meetings to make you look like you're productive.
I heard on the Supreme Court arguments yesterday somebody flushed a commode. They're still trying to figure out who did it.
I can see that happening.
We were doing that thing for the baccalaureate, so I had my phone set on top of my computer screen doing all the filming. I was probably at least 7 tries into it before I got it the way I wanted it. And about the time I was getting ready to introduce Greg, which was the last thing, this tractor and trailer goes by my office and just blurs everything out. Start it all over again.
Hi, Stephen. Oh. Was Carcel going to try to do it from home, Casey?
I have not heard from Carcel. She hasn't, to my knowledge, she hasn't reached out to me, so I don't know. I might need to call her here in a minute, maybe.
You want me to give her a call? Wait a minute.
Yeah,
Actually, she just sent me a message when you said that.
Okay.
Her Wi-Fi keeps circling.
It's buffering. Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Text her, Dave, say, go sit next to the router. Take your computer, sit next to the router.
Hey Casey, can she just call in? If she can't make contact that way, we could have her audio anyway.
Yes. Let me get you the number.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I just sent Carcel the audio number, and she's going to call in, and we can at least hear her and speak with her.
Right, that is fine. Just let me know when she's called in, Dave, and then I'll have us call to order.
Okay.
Okay, it says her phone number has joined, so she should
All right.
be able to hear us. Can you hear us, Carcel?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's perfect. You are fine. All right, sir. Will you then call our meeting to order? I have 5:33.
Yes, ma'am. Burchett,
Yes.
Gibson,
Here.
Childers,
Here.
Mulberry, Crowley.
Here.
All members present, Madam Chair.
Thank you, sir. Looks like we need to approve the agenda, and it is a short agenda due to this being a special called board meeting. So if I could have a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion.
Second.
So motion by Keith and second by Stephen. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you. Since there are none of the normal items filled in, I think we can skip down to the operation items unless there is anyone who had an open comment. Hearing none, we will move then to the operation items. The first item of business is to approve the amended school calendar.
Mark is in attendance, and Mark, feel free to jump in at any time, but this is basically just culminating our school year on May 12th and documenting that we have met the 1,062-hour time requirement by KDE. And Mark, is there anything you wanted to add to that?
No, that's pretty much it. I mean, everything's set and ready to go.
Okay.
Motion to amend the calendar as indicated.
I'll second.
So we have a motion by Todd and a second by Carcel to approve the amended school calendar as discussed. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, then we will vote on the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Motion carries. The next item says create extra service position for the district COVID-19 technology implementation team, funding provided by the CARES Act.
Basically, that's Cindy's contribution to the meeting tonight. But Cindy, I'll let you tell them a little bit about that because it is part and parcel to what we're going to be doing later on in the month. I think this is a good time to share just a minute with them about what your plans are.
Okay. Since we are looking at going 1-to-1, 6th through 12th grade, possibly 4th through 12th grade, we really wanted to focus on the professional development side of that. And so what I am requesting is 3 technology people at the high school, 2 at the middle school, 2 at the elementary, 1 at the primary, and then 2 additional ones that would work together to cover our special needs students and staff, to be able to pull in one of those people to do the technology side and one to bring in the due process side of special education. And so what I'm wanting to do with this team is to work with them through the process of planning professional development for the 1-to-1, and in addition to that, for virtual online learning. And so this team, we will develop professional development from what is a Google app and how do you host a Google Meet to I'm running a Google Classroom. How do I take what I was doing in the classroom and make that into an effective virtual classroom? And so there will be a lot of different levels of PD that we need to plan for. Some of those we will need to plan virtual. Some of those we will need to plan in person. And so this person would work this summer in developing a lot of the PDs, and then through the next school year, they will work with me through each of the schools, rolling out the needed PD at the school level that's appropriate for the teachers and the students at that level.
And one thing I wanted to point out too is these are one-time salaries. They've asked us through this CARES Act not to do to try to avoid making commitments that would have to continue on beyond the grant funding. So this will be a one-time shot. We will keep this committee in place and only use them on an as-needed basis through general funds from that point on, but it would not be a continuing salary as it would be for that first year as a stipend. And one other thing that Cindy and I talked about was looking into these the flipped classroom protocols. That's kind of an old term as far as the flipped classroom, but basically doing your work at school and the reading part and the textual kind of of the lesson at home and flipping that classroom, because if they ask us to come back to school in some sort of a hybrid way, a Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday kind of a schedule, then that would be training that would certainly be very beneficial to us from that standpoint, especially if we're one-to-one. So there's a lot of stuff taken in by that, and I think Cindy's done a really good job as far as getting that together and at least in the planning stages. And these people would be just her hands and feet on the ground, if you will.
I think the concept is good, and I have no problem with it. But one question I have: are these actually new people, new employees, new positions, or are you adding duties to current employees and current positions, or is it a hybrid?
We'd be adding duties to current employees. These are folks that we have in, and they would be working hours after their regular time, and in the evenings during the conference in the summer, and that type of thing. So we wouldn't be adding any new employees. Therefore, there'd be no benefits, none of that kind of thing.
One of the things that when I talked to Mark Daniels and I also talked to the administrators, we have these work days at the end of the year now. You know, we end on May the 12th with students, but we have additional days that teachers need to complete this summer to finish work days for this school year as well. And so in looking at this technology team, I would like to take a couple of those days to go ahead and maybe roll out some PD possibly in June. And then I also talked to each administrator about putting at least 2 days into their 2021 PD plans for rollout for technology before school starts. And then we possibly talked about Mark was going to check the calendar to see if it was a possibility, maybe once a 9 weeks or once a trimester, to be able to do a half a day early release where we could continue the professional development. And then, of course, these people would be in the building and available after school hours to provide additional resources to teachers, ask questions. They could do things through PLCs and or staff meetings after school.
So
I had the same.
Oh, go ahead, Carcel.
No, I was just going to say I had basically the same question that Todd had, and I feel like by using the people that's already in place, they're going to have a better idea of what is going to be needed to work with students themselves individually.
Yeah, we would agree, and I think that's for the continuity part of this. After all, I mean, if there's going to be new people coming into our district all the time as new hires and through attrition or retirements, whatever, and so this team would be in place. And once we get them in place, we wouldn't necessarily keep them on the payroll, but we could use them on an as-needed basis each year during our conference time in the summer, or wherever we want to use it. It would be just a lot of intensive training initially, but after that, it would just be kind of a maintenance thing, keeping the new folks up to date.
So one thing that I was thinking as we went over this, I found myself constantly in awe at the new programs that I saw the teachers putting on Facebook that they were using for virtual learning. Lots of things that I had not heard of. So I went out and researched a lot of them, and they were amazing, the stuff that they picked up on, and the kids really have no issue with using all that technology. So I do wonder if you're going to do some type of survey, Cindy, with all staff, just to get feedback as to what is their comfort level with using a lot of these virtual tools, because everybody was thrown into it, feet first and sink or swim. But if you know what kind of the comfort level is in each building, you can tailor a little bit to what you already have, because you may find at the high school they already have a pretty high level, so you can really go far, and at the primary school maybe not so much. Does that make sense?
Yes, Casey and I have actually already worked on a needs assessment and started that and put in some of the basic technology questions that we have. And then as we hire this group, I want to get them together, and that's the first thing I was going to do is let them go over this needs assessment and see if we need to add anything that would target high school, middle, elementary, primary, that they would need to know specifically to help us develop this PD as we move forward. So we've got a base started on that already.
Okay. And I noticed, I noted that you said teachers in all these buildings, and I just wondered, I'm presuming maybe, but that Jane will also be involved in this, because that is our population that we will have the most struggle with, because they will have the most struggle, the students themselves.
Absolutely.
And I think one other thing that we wanted to share was that once we get back into some normalcy, whatever that may look like, we would begin asking our teachers to start utilizing online assignments, even if we're not out of school. Maybe once every couple of weeks, they would have an online assignment, so they wouldn't lose this skill set that we're developing right now and not use it for a few months and then come back in and say, oh, wait a minute, how do we utilize this particular format or this particular platform? So we're going to ask our folks to build some of those in as homework assignments, even if we're back in school on a regular basis, which that was something that had been suggested in some meetings that I was in. I think that's a good way to be. And then also you can work the bugs out when you have school the next day, so to speak.
That sounds like a really good idea to do that, though, because you never know. Also, with all this, the way we've had to be the last several months, you never know when it could come up again.
Exactly. It can only help us during regular time, snow days or flu days, whatever that may be. But I think having this team in place is going to make that much easier. It's going to give Cindy somebody to call on at each building that is somewhat responsible for seeing that the stuff gets rolled out in a timely manner and in a way that gets to everybody in a quick way.
And then additionally, I'm sorry, Keith. Additionally, one of the things.
Go ahead.
I think Cindy did her mic accidentally, maybe.
Okay. My biggest, I think the kids did like this, maybe not to the extent that we had to do, but I think the new technology, like you guys are saying, I think that's exciting, and I think they will enjoy that, but definitely not to this extent, but still, I think I like that. I like that idea of, seeing which one works, which one doesn't, and what teachers and kids like. I do like this.
Dave, to one thing, I'm probably just getting a little hung up here for no good reason, but procedurally, the board has to create a new position, and we abolish positions, and then the administration fills them. If we're not creating a new position, if we're actually just putting some job duties for people that already have a position, I don't know that the board needs to create a new position. We just need to approve this extra money paid to the people that are already there. So can you just talk through that a little bit? Do we actually need to create new positions that we will then abolish later on?
Well, I think, Todd, this is like what we use on our extra service schedule. If we change the alignment of money that we pay football coaches, for example, or if we add a particular duty to an existing staff member, I think it's an extra service position. So I think from that regard, we would want to create it and then either leave it open or allow it to not be used at that point in time. But I think for us to be able to to pay them and put them into payroll and change their pay structure, we would probably need some approval from you all.
Okay.
And I would assume Cindy, and we hadn't spoken about this, so I'm glad you brought it up. I would assume Cindy plans on adding these to our extra service schedule, just like we have coaches and Science Olympiad teachers and that kind of thing. So these would be just in-house technology implementation team trainers, and then we could take that off or move them around. And hopefully, my hope would be that it would not be the same people every year. That we would get people who would rotate through these positions and try to spread that knowledge out among a larger number of folks. But probably would be on a year-to-year basis, much like we do football coaches and things of that nature.
I do not have a copy of our extra service positions with me. Could probably find it on School if I wanted to work that hard, but I don't. I think we already have district technology people listed at every building. We just don't have anybody identified. If we do, then this is just reiterating that we want to do that. If we don't, then we do need to create the positions. So once Cindy finishes telling us what she's dying to tell us, then we probably need a motion, something around the fact that if an extra service position is not already listed on our salary schedule for those, we want to make one. And if it is listed, then good job. However you want to write that motion, Todd. Think about that while Cindy talks.
Yeah, I know we formerly had I think they were called TRTs at each of the building. And so I don't know if those were removed or not from the stipend schedule. But the one thing about Google Classroom is that once the teachers, if they were to build a classroom and put information on that if the students are now given a device, if we go one-to-one, when the child goes home, they don't have to have internet to be able to access that Google Classroom and do the work. You have the ability to work offline. And then once the child was able to get internet access, it would automatically sync so that the teacher could view all of that. So, even if a child, we have all of our schools spread out across the district. So even if a child could get to one of the locations in a parking lot, it would sync the material then for the children, that didn't have internet.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I think it's a great idea, and having the flexibility and growing as we do it. We're all learning. I think it's all good. I just want to make sure we do it the right way. So I think we're all generally for it.
The only thing I would say, Kim, to your point, is we very well may have some positions open. I don't know that they would be exactly the number Cindy's talking about, but Rhonda did clean a lot of those up last year. And by that, I mean she abolished a lot of that had been dormant for a while. So it may be that we need that motion, just like you said, that if they're not available, allow us to create those, because my thinking is that Rhonda created or abolished one of those and cleaned a bunch of that up. So I don't know that we have a lot of positions that aren't filled on the most current. We have one.
She just sent message that we have one current position for TRT, and that would be still at the primary school, Vicki Baker. So we only have one.
Yeah, the rest of it involved.
This is Mark. I just wanted to mention also that in relation to the way the framework with virtual learning is, and I know many schools adopted this before all of this broke loose with COVID-19. At the high level, there was a requirement with many high schools as far as actually putting in a required virtual course for everyone so that they could experience that, because teaching at Eastern, all of my coursework is online for the most part. So it's a valuable resource, because once they graduate, they're going to have to get it. So whether it be whatever learning management system that they use, whether it be Schoology or Blackboard or Canvas or whatever. Just throwing that out.
So
I agree.
If we could possibly, Kim, have a motion to create the number of extra service positions for the technology implementation team needed to do so in an effective manner, and add it to the extra service schedule, then that would be probably a motion that we could work with, if that's okay with you all. I mean, unless you've got an exact number, Cindy, that you're calling for. I think you listed them a few moments ago. But do you want to ask for a specific number for each building? Is that how we want to do it?
I was looking at a total of 10. The only thing with the primary school, I know we put 3 at the high school. Depending on what grade levels they did there, it could be maybe a possible 11th position there. But
Let's just figure out your max that you may need, and we'll say create up to.
Up to. I agree.
There you go.
I agree too. That's better.
57.
that's great.
12.
Yeah, I think an even dozen's fine.
I think 12.
If there's no limit on the funding, yeah, we'll give you as many as you need.
That's the limit you're going to put on, is the funding limit. You get as many people as you want, but you've got $200.
Yeah, there you go.
I have a list if we're open for suggestions on lots of positions.
We spent this CARES money 5 times already. Yeah, in our mind. So 12 is a good number, Cindy. Is that fair? Is that workable?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Great, thank you. We will need that in the form of a motion, Ms. Crowley, or not?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
How many did you say? I didn't hear it.
An even dozen.
12. Okay, so I'll make a motion to create up to 12 extra service positions for the district COVID-19 technology implementation team, which will be funded through the CARES Act.
Second.
Perfect, thank you.
Motion by Todd and second by Keith. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, then we'll accept a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have approved revised job description for the payroll accounts payable clerk.
I believe Rhonda had that on Schoology. Basically, what it was when we talked about it was this was Kim Elliott's former job. Kim was hired to take Georgia's place since Georgia is retiring. Kim, that job description had not been revised in a good while. Rhonda has been constantly tweaking job descriptions within the confines she has to work with. And so when she gets an opportunity, she updates those job descriptions and makes them much more accurate. That's all she's doing here. There's some small tweaks in description. There's no money increase or anything like that. She is just updating the description, but she wanted to get it approved by the board. And
So we
I
would
will-
just get a motion to approve that revised job description.
yes, ma'am.
So was that Keith making the motion?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll second it.
And second by Carseal. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, then we'll accept a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, under discussion items, is the surplus of the property at 2004 Early Street.
That's the house that we had asked for permission to tear down maybe a meeting or two ago. I'm not exactly sure. Dwayne and I had talked about that. The property butts up to the backside of the Ossie Birch Center and the Casey's Tech building. We went down there and looked at it and spent some time in the backyard and looked at what it would be usable for. And quite frankly, if we don't get the 2 houses to the right of that, then it would not be very useful for much, to be honest. I spoke to the people on the corner. They said they have no intent of selling or leaving. They've been there for a good while. And it's located on that street that cuts through from Main Street to the backside of the vocational school in that area there. It's the second street that you cross. If you notice on the left, there's always some race car looking vehicle sitting there that they're working. They have no intent on leaving, at least according to them. I did not see any use for holding on to that property, to be honest with you. After I thought about it and discussed it with Mr. Kennedy and talked about it with Cindy just a little bit, I think we can sell that property. I would much rather just get out of the rental business, and if we keep it, we're going to end up just having to take care of the lot should we tear it down. It's going to be a constant source of work for us. I don't think we'll ever use it, to be perfectly honest. I did contact an appraiser, had him give me an idea. We paid $61,000 for it at the time we bought it. We may have overpaid just a bit. They're saying right now that with this, they would expect somewhere between $40,000 to $50,000 to be secured from that property in an auction. So to me, I think it serves us to just sell the property and put that money towards something that we need, that we can use, and kind of take care of work in the future that we would have to do just to keep up a lot that we probably would never have any use for, in my opinion. But if and again, I know you're taking my word for this, and you probably have not been down by there and looked. If you wanted to table this until next time and you guys drive by and take a look at it, that would be fine. We're not in any hurry whatsoever. But I know from a rental standpoint, we've only been getting about $400 a month out of it. And Dwayne said that the house does need some repair. However, there's a lot of people in town that are investing in rental property that would probably buy that house, put some money in it, and keep it up. It's a neat little brick home. From what I can see, it's got a decent sized backyard. I just don't see how it's going to be any benefit to us in the future if we don't get the other two houses going up to the corner. So you're probably talking about having to invest, another $100,000 or so just to have an opportunity should they come for sale. But if you wanted to table it and you guys drive by and take a look and then give me an opinion next time, that's perfectly fine, whatever you choose to do. But I wanted to update you for the main reasons. I don't think we need to tear it down. I do think we can get some decent value out of it.
When did we buy that property, Dave?
Stephen, it was probably, I'm going to guess 15 years ago. And that's just a shot. I was not at the board at the time. I was
looking at the Chinese teachers.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mona was still at the middle school, and so were you, I think.
I was.
So it's been a while.
I drove by there and looked at it. And, if you couldn't put it over in there because it's on a slant to start with. But it's real believable.
I'm sorry, Stephen. I couldn't understand that something was blocking us out there.
I said, I drove by and looked at it, and I agree with you. You couldn't put a road in there because it's on a slant. It would be right between the two buildings. It's not going to help the traffic flow unless it'd be on the other end towards the baseball field. Is on right. I don't think it'd help us any hold on to it either. And the fellow on the other side of it, Adams, he's been there for 35 years. He's not going nowhere.
Right.
Cut the
Maybe they're interested in buying it, and they may take it down themselves. But it's the backyard's nice. It's got a nice little storage building in the back, and I've not been in the house, but Dwayne says it does need some repairs, but it's certainly not terrible because Maggie Ballou and Derek Mahan were just living in it up to about a month and a half ago. So, but anyway, that's just kind of a thing. But we can table it until next time if you like. I just wanted to kind of get that on your radar and see what your thoughts were.
The only question I have, Dave, is because I'm fine with selling it. That's not a problem. I don't know if we will get more money selling it through a realtor or doing the auction. I'm not certain KDE loves it when we sell something at way less than what we paid for it.
Right.
So I don't know much about that process because although I have a house that I rent, I bought it so that I could quit looking at a yard that was 12 feet high. So I'm not very good at that process.
Well, I think what we should do, whether we list it with a realtor or even auction, is get an appraisal done. Let somebody take a look and just kind of tell us what they think it's worth, somebody that's in that business, and we can get that done at a fairly reasonable number, I would think. We usually use the gentleman out of London, Mike Hunfleet, but I mean, we can use whomever and let them take a look at it and give us an idea. But how we get rid of it doesn't matter to me in any way at all. I just do. The only thing I was thinking is that it is going to be a constant source of maintenance if we don't, either if we tear it down or if we keep it. So that was the reason I was just thinking we might just wash our hands of it and get out of that business and also have some, walk away with some of our money back.
I think for real estate, just like our buildings we just sold, we've got to get KDE's approval from the get-go, don't we?
I would think so, Todd. Just like we did our buildings. Yeah, you're exactly right. I think you're exactly right. I can start that process. Give you folks time to look at it sometime between now and next month if you choose to do so, and then bring this back up on the next board meeting and tell you whether or not. Just because I get permission does not mean we have to do it. I can go ahead and begin that process.
I think we should, and I think we should sell at the way we're supposed to do it. And this summer is a good time to do so because interest rates are very low. So a young couple or something looking for a first home could buy that property at a reasonable price and only have to put in a small amount of money to make it very livable. So if we're going to sell it, we need to do it now, but we do have to follow a process, I'm pretty sure. Sure.
I've been on the phone with Mr. Bauman all week long. And so I will, with our DFP, and that was one of my comments here in a minute. I'll share with you, but that'll be no problem getting a hold of him and asking the process. And generally, it's just a matter of asking him to do so and getting the board minutes where you guys want me to do so. So I'll put that in the board minutes that you're authorizing me to seek permission to sell it, and then we can decide what we want to do with it after I get that permission.
Okay. And then we will table further action for next month. That way we'll have all of our information available. That sounds good.
Great. Thank you.
So then the next section is comments from the superintendent when you're through writing.
Thank you. Our DFP has went through several iterations. Mr. Bauman and Jim and I and Kevin has spent a lot of time. We were on with him today for about an hour and a half this morning, again this afternoon. I'm not sure really what happened, other than the only way he could explain it was that he picked up an old set of notes and transcribed some numbers that we had changed about a week and a half ago and just put us right back to square one earlier today. Well, we've got that fixed with the exception of a question or two. There were just a couple of items, and those of you who've been involved in this know the items I'm talking about, but there's where we had several suggestions for improvements at the ATC from our prior DFP facilities plan. There were some of those that he disallowed, and we knew he would probably disallow some of those. They're not going to be major changes, but we anticipate this being completed in the next day or so. At that point in time, we'll have to have another LPC meeting to get the folks together. We're going to try to do that at the middle school in 3 separate classrooms so we can put 7 in a room only. And Casey's going to get technology to those other 2 rooms. And then at that point in time, it goes back to KDE, and then we have to have a public hearing once they approve it, and then we should be done finally. Just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of a heads up there. It does not look like our unmet need from the amount that the LPC committee looked at the first time is going to be that much different. It was somewhere around 46 million as compared to 47.5, something of that nature. So unless there's a big change, we're still going to have well over $45 million in unmet need, which is about as much as we can squeeze out of it and do that they're going to let us do anyway, I should say. Other than that, just to give you a quick update on the graduation ceremony. They will be, there's been a few little changes, and Johnny and his staff have been very good to listen to the public's request and try to find a way to do what the board wants to do and what the community wants to do. We will be having a drive-in baccalaureate service in addition to a virtual. The drive-in baccalaureate service will be at Emmanuel. We'll be using their technology. Each graduate will be able to come up there in one car. That will be the limit. And there'll be 2 live speakers. I will speak just for a moment. I'll introduce Greg Taylor. Greg Taylor is the baccalaureate speaker, and nobody will leave the vehicles. And that should be probably a 45-minute endeavor, provided they can keep Greg under control. So, and I told Jill Lewis that's her job. But I did speak to Greg this morning. He's going to come from Nashville and do that part of it. But I wanted you to know about that because that's something I think Johnny released yesterday. So there will be a virtual baccalaureate that's complete. It's already on CD. It will be released on the 23rd at noon, about 30 minutes after the drive-in baccalaureate is done. Also on the 23rd, there's a senior parade at 1:30, and Kim and I have spoken about this. We've got Kim Walden and Jennifer Peace, who are kind of overseeing that for us. Johnny, Nicole, Steve, and I are also going to be up there where they're going to stage this at the arena. Our 3 SROs will be involved in that, one at the back of the parade, one in the middle, and one at the beginning. They'll parade down the Falls Highway, circle the high school, go down Main Street, up Master Street to the Trademark Center, and disperse from up there. And our SROs will be with them the entire time, being sure that they don't get out of their cars and turn it into a picnic. That's on the 23rd. The virtual graduation will be filmed next week, and we got all 3 SROs down there scheduled to be there from 11:30 to 6 o'clock each of the 3 days to manage the folks in the parking lot. Coach Jules done a really good job at getting the folks in there on staggered times. That will be released on the 24th at 2 o'clock, which is when the regular graduation was supposed to have been done. Mr. Crawford also finally got out. I think we all got the wording exactly the way we wanted it. Todd and I spoke about this earlier in the week that we wanted to be sure and assure folks that we do want to do an in-person graduation. That's the way the board had felt, and in the discussions I'd had with you. And Johnny has also put a date with that. He wanted to go ahead and do so, and I think it is the Sunday after. It was the Sunday. It's the 16th now. The 16th of August, and then it'll be the 18th of October. And should all this craziness go on beyond October 18th, and we just would not have it in person this year. But we've got 2 concrete dates. We've set those with Christy Balla at the arena, and she's holding both of those dates for us. So just to give you a quick update, so you would know what's going on. You may or may not have gotten that itinerary from Jill. If you would like to have that, I can send it to you. I don't know if you got a copy or not.
I don't think so, Dave.
Okay, I'll share that with you also. So you'll have an idea exactly what's going on and when and where and so forth. But they've done a good job with it, and it's been a learning experience for sure.
Well, at least we didn't get sued. So there you go.
That's true. We did not get sued. And I found out what all that was about. That was that we had actually done exactly what, and we'd all done the same thing. But the suit, to my understanding, was that they did not want, or they were not going to let Laurel County not let parents.
That's correct. They weren't going to allow 2 parents to come in and watch.
Sure, and I understand all that, and again, but I think that the plan that we had took care of that before we got started. So we were fortunate there. So.
Do I need to call Barry McDonald to get us a fire truck at the front?
At the, I think they've already done that, Kim, for the parade.
Yeah.
I think they've already got them involved, and I've talked to Rusty as well, and Rusty says we're going to have some extra folks up and down because what I think they're wanting folks to do are friends, parents, and well-wishers to all line the streets on Main Street and maybe the Falls Highway and even Master Street a bit and practice social distancing, but have kind of a flow of folks to wave to the kids as they go through. And my understanding, the kids are going to decorate their cars as well, but Rusty and Barry both know about what's going on, and I think they're going to participate as well.
All right, good. Thank you.
That's all I had. Thank you.
All right. Are there any other comments from board members?
I'm sorry. I did have one thing.
You're fine.
I've got some documents, some diplomas, Kim, that I need you to sign. If you can I drop those off on the way home tonight and then pick them up in the morning maybe?
Well, if you will put them in my mailbox, I will sign them and I will bring them down to the board office as I leave in the morning.
Outstanding. I'll drop those off here just in a few minutes. Thank you.
Okay. So are there any other comments from board members? I did mention to Keith earlier, I don't know if Todd and Stephen were on the call at that point, that if you are going to run for school board, I think they have changed the date to send in the application to June 1st, I believe. I know it's June 7th, not August.
I think it's June the 2nd, I think.
Okay.
I think that's correct. I've got mine in.
So you know that I would love for all of you to be back there because I think we're a good team, but just didn't want you to let it slip up because this is the first year that it's been June and not August.
I appreciate you bringing that up. I had that in my notes and overlooked it. Thank you.
Well, everybody's got a lot on their agenda right now. If there's no other comments from board members, we have no need of an executive session. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
So,
So motion by Keith and a second by Stephen. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Looks like everybody's ready to go home. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we had Janie do a lot of food for tonight's meeting, so we're going to go eat.
Okay, thank you. Let me tell you, when this is over, Janie needs to be a Corbin Colonel for sure. I'm going to call
Janie's doing, yes, she is. She's doing very well. And I'm glad the food service is going well right now. Took us a few weeks to get it down pat, and I don't want to jinx us, but it's going very smooth. And Janie is much happier now. She's getting to manage as opposed to do everything. So that part of it's going pretty. I think still around 3,800 meals per week.
That's amazing.
Wow, that is amazing and
Yeah.
wonderful.
Have you all talked about the plans for this summer with maybe less typical things that she would be able to do in the summer with the churches? A way to keep the food going?
But she will continue her summer feeding, and she's already been approved for all that, and all the documentation is in, and she plans on not even missing a beat, just continuing this right up to summer feeding. And there normally would be a little bit of a 2 or 3 week gap, especially getting out May 12th. But she's not going to take any time off, and they'll continue right into that. We'd farmed out some of this work, and I told the folks that we've hired that we would look at this after a month. I'm going to let Janie talk to her folks and see what their comfort level is, and kind of go from there. But that has been money well spent. It has really taken a lot of stress off of Janie, and it's probably improved our efficiency a bit, because it's the same people doing it every day rather than a cast of volunteers. And God bless the volunteers, but it is a lot easier when it's the same folks every time. So, but we're going to look at that here probably towards the end of this month, and see whether we need to carry that part into June, Todd. But we will be continuing feeding regardless.
Sounds great.
And for the summer feeding, do we do 7 days a week? Give them food for 7 days?
Yes, that's my understanding. Cindy, let me ask Cindy. Do you know the answer to that question? I will check. I believe we do, but I'll need to check. Cindy, do we do for summer feeding? Do we feed for the weekends as well?
I'm not for sure on the summer feeding. I don't know if she gave additional meals on the Friday, but I know they did it Monday through Friday.
I will
And
check
the
on
budget
that.
says we've done it both ways, but if we have the money and resources to give them extra food on Friday for the weekend, I absolutely want us to do that.
Well, I would agree. Yeah, I would be shocked if Janie didn't do it, especially under these circumstances. But I'll check and see and let you know.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, I think we can all go home now. Thank you all.
Thank
Thank you, Casey. We couldn't do it without you.
Thanks. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, goodbye.
I'll drop these in your mailbox, Kim.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.